If it wasn't for those New Mexico state fishing regulations, I wouldn't have anything. I wouldn't have any warm water salts. Thankfully for them, they give me all the warm water salt I want. So Jim in Ohio sent me a great little pic. I'm going to upload it so I can share it with you. He also sent a text message, says, cheers, Jim in Ohio. If you like Italian, try a grilled cheese, Italian bread, olive oil, and garlic. Oh my gosh, that sounds good. Provolone cheese and some spicy capocolo and spicy soprozetta. After grilling the bread, cook up the meat, then assemble and grill. Yummy. Boy, that does sound good. So the two things that I'd like most in the world are those little baby cherry tomatoes and oranges. Those are the two flavors that I can eat anytime, because those are the two flavors I enjoy. Tomatoes, I'm a big, there must be something, Shelley says it's something in my DNA, because tomatoes are literally my favorites. I guess they're fruits. So tomatoes and then oranges, because they're always so sweet to me. I can eat tomatoes anyway. Tomato juice. I drink tomato juice. I eat little tomatoes, like little baby tomatoes. I add diced tomatoes to every braise that I'm doing. Sliced tomatoes on my sandwiches. I'm a real tomato fan. What's really funny is my daughter's Toby Renee. She likes tomatoes but not ketchup, and Erica likes ketchup but not tomatoes, which I think is strange. Bless their hearts. So this is a picture that Jim sends me, and he sends us one of these pictures. He's always got a drink in his hand, and he's watching us on his big screen, and he sends us one of these pictures, whether it's me alone or with Shelley and I. Lets us know he's one of our fans. Well, I don't know what to say about that song, except it was like, I want to do that, like. That was cool, man. Wait, Deadly Agenda, what was that? You don't know, man. You were never there. You weren't there. What notification? Captain Marvel, what notification? Oh, Colorado. The significant other of Sarah Rocks, both moderators. Let's see. He's sore. He rented a mini excavator, and it beat me to death. Other than that, it went great. Other than that. All right, let's open up the phone lines because I'm ready for some chitty chat. Let's see what we got here. I'll play some music. All right. Phone lines are open. 202 chin number 202-815-1171. Call in now and let's talk for up to 10 minutes. That's what you get, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes worth of talking about forest fence strategy. Or, you know what? Anything else. I'm prepared to talk literally about anything. So, because I've done this a lot and I can talk about it. I can at least ask questions about anything. So, whatever you want to talk about tonight, call in. Let's hear it. Let's hear what you got. Giant Leap by Toffer Moore and Alex Elena. Let's see what this is. Kind of a kinky rock. Candy says, what do you want to talk about? I will talk. You pick the topic. I will talk about it. I will talk with you about it. Bring the topic, baby. We'll do open telephone night tonight. Whatever you want to talk about. There we go. Candy's calling in. Hey, Candy, what's up?
Hey, Toby.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing darned well so far. I haven't had any outages. I haven't lost my audio, so I feel like it's a good night.
That's good.
So
I was watching your Church of the Search and you said to call in, so I was trying to contemplate what to discuss.
Anything you want. That's what's cool about Saturday Night Church of the Search. Your topic, we'll talk about it.
Well, last night, because I was really bored, I went live on my channel and I got Cynthia and Carter to jump on, and we ended up talking for 6 hours about all things Forrest Fenn related and the chase. And he brought up Little Gidding, from T.S. Eliot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've ever read The Four Quartets by T.S. Eliot.
I did in college, but I wouldn't remember them if my life depended upon it.
Well, obviously, Little Gidding is the one quote Fenn talks about arriving at the place and knowing it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought it up, and I started looking into it last night. I had a few beers, and I'm starting to see some major similarities and connections for Fenn's poem versus the Four Quartets of T.S. Eliot. So I was hoping if you looked into it before, if I could talk to you about it, but you don't remember it.
No,
so
I'm looking at it right now. It was, if I recall correctly, it was an English 102 kind of thing, and I remember reading it. Unfortunately, I never was a big fan of T.S. Eliot. I found the poets, the English poets of the 19th century, interesting, but I'm trying to find the quote inside the poem, the quartet. Do you remember where the
It's Little Gidding, so it's the fourth quartet. It's at the bottom, quartet. And it's the very, very last verse. It talks about.
It's the second to last verse. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started, and know the place for the first time.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. So hang on. So actually, he didn't include. So because this is poetry and not prose, except in his case it was poetic prose. That's not the entire sentence. Here's something to think about. The entire sentence is, with the drawing of this love and the voice of this calling, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. That's it. Fenn never cited the entire quote. I'm copying that.
Yeah, he does that a lot. He did that with Shakespeare and all kinds of different works of literature that I saw in the book. But the whole point I brought it up is that I actually looked into the Four Quartets last night. I pretty much read the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
And there are references to Brown in there. There's talk about the house or the home. The beginning is the end. If you don't know where you're going, any place will take you there. It's just so many things that tie up to what Fenn has said about his chase that I'm starting to think that he used the Four Quartets for some type of inspiration for his poem. And so I think there's something much bigger behind the chase.
Candy?
Yes.
I'm going to interrupt for just a second. Well, okay. Here's why. Because we're off the air.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, it says, I tried to post something in chat, and it said, sorry, chat is closed. Time to find another stream. And I just checked our stream, and it's off. What the hell?
Oh.
Hang on.
Don. Since you're live.
Can you actually see us talking?
Something much bigger.
Hey, Candy?
Yeah.
Candy? I'm going to interrupt for just...
I see.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Let's see. Oh. Well, that is really weird. Hold on. It's just like it dropped out. You're on the air. Okay. Jim says we're on the air. That was totally weird. It stopped and restarted. Okay. All right. That was strange. Okay. So let's go back to your, do me a favor because I was distracted. So we're back.
Uh-huh.
We're back on the air. There was kind of a break. I hope it doesn't make two different videos. You dropped and restarted, Toby. Oh, that's weird. Okay, as if I didn't have any other problems to worry about. Let's go back to your conversation about little getting. So I got as far as the part before I was distracted that you went through and read the entire thing again.
Yeah, the entire 4 quartets.
And what was your purpose in doing that?
Well, I just wanted to see because he quotes Little Gidding, and Little Gidding is the 4th out of, all the 4 quartets. And not many people really look into it or want to see what the entire, message behind the 4 quartets really was. So I started looking deeper into it, and it is exactly to a T what Fenn's been trying to tell us this entire time, that he wants to do something that's going to change our society and leave behind something better, leave his footprints behind to shape someone else's life and make something good for someone, right? So there's references to hot and cold in there. They mention a brown. They actually talk about the river god as the brown. They talk about a house. They talk about zero summer. And it's just, you should really go back and reread the 4 quartets, because I was up last night till I want to say like 3 a.m, just diving deep into them. And I was talking to Carter, the House Husband Diaries, about this earlier. And there is so much material that fits Fenn and his Thrill the Chase book and his poem to a T. There's even references to gypsy magic in there.
Well, I found brown once. Let me see how many times. Gypsy.
It's actually 3 times, I believe, because it talks about the river god. The river god is brown. And it says, on the shortest day of the brightest year, I think it is. So I think it's alluding to summer solstice,
Yeah.
June 20th to June 21st.
Yeah.
Because this one, 4 quartets, is about World War II in London. And I think that just like with Fenn and what he does with all of his work, his quotes and the Thrill Chase, the book itself, he uses other types of literary, I can't even think the word. He just takes different things, like Catcher in the Rye. He takes that quote from Fate will deal you 2 cards or 4 cards and a joker, and you play whether you like it or not. He finds original pieces of that, reiterates it into his own words, and then passes it off as his. So what makes us say that he didn't do that with his poem too? Because he even said that he felt like an architect when he wrote the poem.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on in another interview, he says that he didn't write the poem wrote itself. So I'm just wondering, maybe like when he says that he was going to make it work no matter what, maybe he was using a different poem or some type of resource to craft his poem, if that makes any sense.
Well, except that Eliot was known primarily for the prosaic approach to poetry. He didn't write rhythm and rhyme. Fenn, on the other hand, literally picked a standardized form of rhythm and rhyme that had been selected by people like Lewis Carroll or Carol Lewis, Lewis.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. So he might have. I don't know necessarily that. Well, it's obvious that he read it. It's obvious that he found one of the lines in it important or something important to him. In the case that one line in the 4th quatrain, but he didn't imitate. I mean, it strikes me that when Fenn decided to write a poem to hide the treasure, he wanted to write a poem.
Mm-hmm.
What the traditional definition of the poem. I think that he wanted to copy the traditional method of poem. You can't, although Shakespeare writes poetry, T.S. Eliot writes poetry, to an untrained reader of poetry, it doesn't look like poetry. And I think that would have bothered him. There's a poem that I recited in high school, Thanatopsis, William Cullen Bryant, And it's the same way, except the lines are very evenly spaced, but it's all prose. So live that when I, let's see, so live when I can't even recite it anymore. So live that when thy calling comes, to join that mysterious caravan which moves to the, or to join the caravan which moves to that mysterious realm. Thou go not like a quarry slave at night, scourged to his dungeon, but sustained and soothed by thine unfaltering trust. Approach thy grave like one who wraps the drapery of his couch about him and lies down to pleasant dreams. And so it's prose, but it's written as if it were poetry. And Eliot took that a step further in that it wasn't even organized prose. You go look at Thanatopsis and you can see that the lines are the same length and that there's almost a beat to it there is a rhythm to it. Eliot's purpose in life was to destroy not destroy, I don't want to say, to as a counter culture element, change the way people viewed poetry. You know, and it was he was the equivalent of a Salvador Dali or who's another good one that goes beyond abstraction. They just go. He was the equivalent of a Salvador to what Salvador Dali was to the art world. T.S. Eliot was to the world of poetry. And so you have to wonder. I'd have to wonder, as Fenn took what is literally the most traditional rhyme and rhythm and meter for his poem. What did he find about T.S.? So it reminds you can read Catcher in the Rye. And you could see why Fenn was fascinated by it. Mm-hmm. And why he wanted to replicate. Jackson Pollock. That's Sassy. That's who I was thinking of. Jackson Pollock.
Sassy's mad at me right now. She says I'm going too deep.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about going. Well, a lot of people, what you're going to hear when you play out these ideas like this is you're going to hear people like, oh, you're jumping off the specialized knowledge bridge, right? But you have to do.
I'm not saying the four quartets is the solve. What I'm saying is that Fenn himself has said we have to learn where the first clue is, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? How do we learn where the first clue is? And it's not by, just reading the book. There's something, I feel like there's something much deeper below the surface of the chase that we're not comprehending. And that's why so many people have been able to figure out the first two clues.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I want to interrupt for just a second. You said something that I don't want to say it bothered me because it didn't bother me, but you said we're not going to find Warm Water's Halt. I'm not going to be able to repeat it now, but you said something like we're not going to find Warm Water's Halt with just the book.
No, I didn't say that.
What did you say?
We're not going to be able, I feel like we're not necessarily going to be able to understand the map and how to read the map, which are the 9 clues, until we understand the meaning behind it and we learn where the first clue is. Because he says you have to learn where the first clue is, right?
Why do you? And so your position on the matter is to learn where the first clue is, you have to go outside the book?
No, I feel like just looking into T.S. Eliot is kind of making more sense and giving more clarity. But I'm sure you could probably find the same clarity in his book, The Thrill of Chase, because once I start reading the four quartets, there are a multitude of different resources that match up to Fenn's book, especially when he tells you he got cancer. There is a section in T.S. Eliot's four quartets where it talks about being sick and the sickness, and it talks about malignancy, all these weird things, the same thing Fenn said. But I feel like maybe, I know a lot of people are going to get pissed right now for me saying this, but maybe where Warm Water's Halt isn't even associated with water. And that is saying a lot for me because, I'm 100% Firehole River solve.
Yeah.
But for a second, I'm taking a moment to step back and say, what if it's not about water at all? What if it's something deeper than that? And T.S. Eliot and his four quartets is exactly that.
Okay, so I can agree with that first part of that sentence, that maybe it's not even water. Maybe it has nothing to do with water. But it seems to me like a big jump, and perhaps even into the area of specialized knowledge, if you go from maybe it's not water to Little Giddings and T.S. Eliot and Little Giddings. That sounds like a big jump to me. That sounds like a big jump into specialized knowledge to me.
Well, that's the thing, how we need to differentiate specialized knowledge versus just, everyday, just things you can understand. And I know you said Fenn put a list about what he considers specialized knowledge, but I'm not saying where warmer salt isn't not water. It's just where warmer salt isn't water when you're learning about it, when you have to learn about the first clue. And once you learn about the first clue, that's when the map comes into play, and it actually will lead you to real water and your real boots on the ground.
In your opinion.
I'm just saying,
in your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just telling you, you should really take a second look at the 4 quartets and just really look at all 4 of them. Because last night I was finding some crazy things that match up perfectly with everything Fenn writes about and talks about in the Thrill of the Chase. And I mean, since he's not a religious person, but he's very spiritual.
As was T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, exactly. And T.S. Eliot, when he wrote his 4 quartets, everyone knows it is one of the most vaguest poems. He even talks about it. There's psychologists and people who do articles on his works because they try and comprehend what he's trying to say. And they talk about how it's so vague and anyone can interpret it to any way they want. But the point behind it is it's about the Holy Spirit. So that made me second guess for a second, because that's what we're doing with Fenn's poem. His poem is so vague and so open for interpretation. Maybe there really is something lying underneath the surface that we're all completely missing.
Where that is possible. I'm not going to disagree with that. And not only is it possible, it's obviously possible because none of us have the treasure.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was really cool. So I was hoping you've read the 4 quartets. So
I haven't. I haven't in any way recently that would give me a basis for the argument other than what I know about T.S. Eliot in the grand scheme of the subject of poetry. So, I haven't done enough research to make a credible argument for or against the use of that particular work of his. So, sorry.
No worries.
I'll do it the next time. All right.
No, it's okay. I know a lot of people aren't happy with this one.
You don't have to. It doesn't make any difference whether they're happy. No, there are people that aren't happy about a Gypsy's Kiss, but they always have the option of doing something else. They don't. You do what you do, right? All right.
Well, I was just going off my soapbox for a second just to call in and see what your thoughts were on that.
I wish I had better thoughts for you. I'm not. I can't agree or disagree with you simply because I haven't researched it enough to create a credible argument.
Understood.
All right.
I will call in next Saturday and see if you took a little gander at the 4 quartets.
All right. That's That's a challenge, and I accept the challenge.
Okay. Good.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Toby.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so yes, I broke the 10-minute rule on that, but I'm always interested in people who dive really deep into their things for a couple of reasons. One, I want to know why they decide to dive deep into those things, and number two, I want to use it as a basis for an argument against diving deeply into anything. In that case, I don't think I could, because I just don't know enough about this particular work of T.S. Eliot's to create a credible, like I said, a credible argument. So we got a voicemail. Let's see what the voicemail says. Ooh, bunch of text messages. Let me check those out first. So your video did stop and restart. Technical difficulty Saturday. You're on the air. It stopped and restarted about 27 minutes. That was YouTube. That wasn't me. You dropped and restarted. No, YouTube dropped and restarted. I didn't have anything to do with that. Damn YouTube. Boy, they sure decided to make Saturdays difficult. Actually, I can't blame them for last Saturday. Last Saturday was my fault. I can't blame that on YouTube. This was definitely YouTube's fault. And now I have 2 Saturday Night Church of the Searches out there. Well, that's annoying. That is truly annoying, ladies and gentlemen, truly annoying. Okay, but hey, we survived. We made it through the drop. So Sassy says, yeah, like Jackson Pollock, T.S. Eliot was the Jackson Pollock of the poetry world. Let's see. Melinda Cash. What a pretty name. Well, I have a cousin named Melinda. That poem, Larry Smith says, that poem is perfect for this puzzle. It's a good rendition of trout returning to spawning site, home of Brown. All of Fenn's hints were serious. Want to think twice about wed. Don't know. So we got those. We can scratch those right now. Thanks, Eugene. Thank you, and Jim Brown. Thank you for letting me know. It was just weird because I was trying to type the link to Little Giddings. Actually, I was trying to type that one phrase that Fenn used because he left off the first part of the sentence. He, sometimes he doesn't complete sentences. In this case, he eliminated the whole first part of that sentence that he quotes, which strikes me as making it specious. One has to wonder why I ignored the whole first part. Oops. So Marilyn left us a voicemail, but it doesn't look
Hi,
like...
this is Marilyn. If you'd like, please give me a call. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, are we ready for Marilyn, ladies and gentlemen? Are we ready for Marilyn? Let's give her a call.
Hello?
Marilyn, it's Toby.
Oh, hi, Toby. How are you this evening?
Very good, thank you. And you?
I'm great, thank you.
So I'm going to advise you, and although I didn't do it in this last call, I'm going to try and limit our calls, not yours and mine, all my calls tonight to 10 minutes so that more people get a chance to call in, all right?
Okay, that's a good idea.
Is that okay with you?
Of course. Uh-huh.
All right, okay.
The first thing I'd like to say, I don't know the people in your search room or anything, but if there's any way, Sassy, the one who won the $100,000 prize, if there's any way you could give her my phone number, if she would be so kind, if she wanted to call me, I'd love to talk to her.
Okay, I will be happy to. I have your phone number and
Okay.
I have her email address, so I will send that to her and she can make a decision.
Okay.
Do we have a Sassy? I've seen you and Hooli. Is there a problem in the room?
I'm sorry.
I'm just watching our moderators warning people, and I'm just wondering if there's a problem in the room. But it's okay.
Okay.
All right. I will send an email to Sassy with your phone number, and she can choose whether to call or not. All right.
Thank you so much. I have no way to email her. Okay.
Yeah.
At this time.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say a couple things. I did misstate a couple of things, which I don't want to go in my 10 minutes tonight. And this may be the last call I'm going to be making. I don't know. I've spoken with my search team, and they're very concerned about the format here. They weren't even aware that I was speaking, but they're really super, super people. So.
Well, wait. I'm curious. What's the concern?
They just feel like this maybe isn't the right platform, or I should wait, or we should all wait until after we recover the treasure.
Oh, okay. So it's not that they have necessarily anything against me or a Gypsy's Kiss in general. They just don't think that this form of communications is appropriate for someone who hasn't found the treasure.
Well, just for our beliefs anyway. So.
For our beliefs
my beliefs with my team.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. And so, I'm taking, they're incredible people,
Mm-hmm.
and I will take their, but I also I will share a secret with you tonight, if you like, about that I figured out as a salesperson that you might be interested in.
All right, go ahead, because I'm always interested in sales secrets.
Okay. It's just something really curious that happened that I discovered when I was in sales. I was in sales for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And what it has to do with color, like everything that I'm,
It has to do with what? I'm sorry.
Color.
Okay, go ahead.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of funny because when I would present, a layout or something, as I was a designer,
Mm-hmm.
and I figured out that I could just tune right into the salespeople. I sold almost, I don't remember when I didn't sell. The way I would pick out fabrics for people is I would look at what they were wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just pull fabrics that were very similar. Oh my gosh, they would say, oh my gosh, well, how did you know? How did you do that? I love that. It was really very simple, but they didn't really comprehend what I was doing. And by the same token, when I worked at the library, it was pretty funny because I realized that when people would check out books, like the cover of the book would match almost identical, same colors, same types of patterns in the book cover. Now, if they had ordered a book,
To what they
it
were
would,
wearing?
uh-huh,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
And so, but if they had ordered a book, it would be different. But if they were just coming in and just picking something off the shelf, uh, it was just, I would tell my coworkers, I said, no, watch that. Look what that person's wearing. And they would just laugh, and it almost, you could write a book about that because it was just so hysterical, because this one lady came in and she had this very unusual book, like a windbreaker on it, and had like pink swirls, and I think it had gold, but it was a very unusual pattern. And I'll be that book she had on was almost identical. It was so unusual, and the book she picked out was almost identical to that. Anyway, that's just my little sales thing, and I won't keep you. But
Well, wait. What was the sales principle that you developed as a result of that data that you collected?
that would be the fact that whatever that person, if they were the one that picked out their clothes that day, that was somehow the emotional state that they were in at that point in time for that day. Now, if they, um, so because of that, I could like match up fabrics for them that they loved, that they would sell every time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of unusual, I thought.
Oh, no, I mean, it's certainly, there are patterns of behavior, both mental behaviors as well as physical behaviors that help you identify characteristics that would help you in the process of a sale. I used to teach a course called Sentient Sales that used emotions
Okay.
to close a deal. I used to sell really big ticket, multi tens, multi hundreds of millions of dollar deals to the government and to large businesses, and so I used sentient sales to do that. I used emotions to do that.
Oh, that's good. Well, I've sold cars. I had a real estate license, but I skipped on my test. I took it so fast, and I still passed the test. I just didn't feel confident.
Yeah.
But it's like, if they're driving in with a blue Honda, and they had picked up that car, if you kind of, ask enough questions, then I could sell them something blue because they're driving that car. I mean, it was just really kind of uncanny. So that's all I have to say about that.
That's all that I have to say. I like when you finish your sentences like that. And that's all that I have to say about that.
Well, but yeah, okay. But it's just kind of something to think about from a sales standpoint.
Yeah. So let's see. You called me initially to let me know that you weren't going to call me again. Is that?
Well, I guess I could say, I've given a lot of information, but I'm really not concerned about that because I've prayed about it. And if I'm not the person that finds it, then I've prayed that, if I'm going to find it and then screw up on the other side of the find and not praise my God, then just let somebody else do it, because I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
Okay?
So here's what, I don't know if it bothers me, what I worry about. So to the best of my knowledge, you have said nothing in all the conversation time that we've spent. You have said nothing that would cause anyone to drop their beer and go look for that treasure. And part of it's the fact that you have what I would call a theory that's unique to you, perhaps even some of your team members. That's one thing. And the second is you haven't given enough details. I mean, the closest we get to details is a 5 by 8 foot rectangle of puzzle pieces, each of which average about 1 square inch. And then on one side is a picture of the location, and the other side is worth that.
I understand that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I believe
so your theory is esoterically unique enough to you that you're not giving anything away.
Well, I don't believe I am either, because I believe I could give you 500. There's like probably, like I said, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 things to fit together.
Yeah. So, and that's my point exactly.
I don't think.
Right. So the point that I would make to you is that statement alone, the one where you say there are thousands of things that go together, that statement alone is enough to eliminate 90% of the people, and whether or not they want to borrow your theory.
Oh, I believe that. My search partners aren't really aware. I mean, they have their own, they are really in serving the Lord, and they trust me. I trust them.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just had some really in-depth conversations the last few days.
Yeah.
And I need to, like, if I were to run anything else by, I need to just run it by them first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're good with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, so if somebody else does find it, I just need to be patient. In fact, like I've really had a hard time. My poor cat, I had to take him to the hospital yesterday. I mean, I spent hundreds of dollars, and he's got these issues. He's got these allergies, and I basically had to spend the money that I spent over $700 the last couple months just trying to treat him to get him well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of our search money. But I'm not concerned, because if it's meant for us to do it, the money will be there. You don't have to beg for it. God provides what He wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not concerned. I'm not concerned about that. I'm just concerned about my little cat. Well, I'll tell you what. We have a little game we play. We call it the thrill of the chase. When he's feeling good, and I take the laser light, and he runs through the little tunnel. He does laps.
Yeah.
He's so cute. Okay, well, I won't take any more of your time.
All right. Well, so I think what you can say to your team members, first of all, I would rather not hear you say that we'll never hear from you again. Because I think there's other things that we can talk about besides the thrill of the chase, especially on Saturday night, since it's pretty much my time. But I think you could tell your team members that you've given very little away that anybody else would find helpful. Your theory is very much unique to you, and so nobody's going to run out there and take the chest out from you.
I totally believe that. I mean, if it's meant for me to find it, I will find it.
Right.
If it's meant for someone else, I just believe in that predestination.
That's right. I agree with. I don't necessarily believe it's up to God to make that determination for me, but I do believe that the person who finds the treasure will have done so because the treasure is attracted to that person.
Okay, I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking my call, and you guys have. I kind of wanted to say something about the left brain, right brain. I want to talk to Sassy about the puzzle I was talking about. That's not a good word, the puzzle.
Yeah, probably not.
And it's basically like the difference between inductive and deductive reasoning. Like, you are a left brain. I mean, I'm going to label you. Sorry, Toby. You are a left brain.
It is in my nature. That's true.
That is good and that's bad.
Yeah.
But the people that have this genius, they're right brain.
Yeah.
And the difference is deductive reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
They are like Sherlock Holmes,
Mm-hmm.
but their words are not attached to that side of the brain whenever the memories are stored. That's a whole different thing. But anyway, like, for instance, like being a left brain, one reason that a person who's left brain would be very hard for them to figure out to solve is because, and this is just the nature of the beast, if you want to say. I don't know what else to say.
I say that a lot, actually.
Oh, gee, the left brain. Okay, like if you get an idea in your head, it's like almost impossible to pull that out and rearrange the information. It's like, for some reason, it's just like the left brain inductive, it's stuck. It's like it's like singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat to a different tune and not ever going back to thinking about the Row, Row, Row Your Boat. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it's really hard to, rearrange the clues and rearrange the thoughts, where the right brain, you can't. The right brain, I mean, it's like, and this is just my opinion, like Davio, it's like, I mean, this man, and so many of the searchers there, it's really incredible. It's like what ADD is. I mean, I have sought these answers, and I kind of know. But anyway, the right brain, you're seeing a picture. There's no words attached. Like, they've done all this research whenever they cut the fibers between the two sides of the brain, the corpus callosum. And the problem is, the reason they're hard to follow is that, you're looking at a picture. Well, a picture doesn't have a beginning, middle, and end. So they're skipping around. And unless you're looking at that same picture, it sounds kind of really out there. But
so
if you were looking,
hang on before you do this, because there's some questions in the room. I'm going to read this for them regarding left brain, right brain, and she's right. I am a left brain person. The theory is that people are either, and it is a theory. There is no valid evidence. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence to Indians, but it is a theory. The theory is that people are either left-brained or right-brained, meaning that one side of the brain is dominant. if you're mostly analytical and methodical in your thinking, you're said to be like left brain. That's how you end up in the intelligence community. If you tend to be more creative or artistic, you're thought to be right brained. So that's what she's that's what she's referring to. So so you think of me as left brained.
I'm labeling you, and that's in a good way.
No. I actually, I'm very comfortable being left brained. It's not the first time.
It's like
and you're right brained.
Unfortunately, well, I guess it's fortunately, but it's difficult. It's like school, education is basically left brain.
Hang on, let's go through the question and answer part of
I'm
this
sorry.
first. Okay.
I get
and in your opinion,
uh-huh.
It is easier for someone who is right-brained to figure out Fenn's poem. Is that your theory?
Yes, because they are like experts in deductive reasoning. They're deconstructing it where the left brain is constructing it. But the way I believe the brain is designed to work is you take both of those forms of logic and then you compare them and then you come to a rational decision.
Yeah. Hey, hang on just a second. Destin, Florida, I see you. I will call you as soon as I'm done with this call. You don't have to keep calling because you're just going to go to voicemail. Okay, let's finish up, Marilyn.
I think I've been in my 10 minutes. Okay.
60 seconds. Yeah, you're over your 10 minutes, but I'm going to give you 60 seconds to wrap it up.
Okay, I'm just saying that the schools teach you left brain function, and that's a good thing because you need both sides. But it's just the way the brain stores information, like in Chinese or some of the other languages. It's just the opposite. Like it's a picture language, and so it's just the opposite. It's the whole thing.
Okay, so here's something I want you to think about for our next conversation.
Okay.
I graduated summa cum laude from the Corcoran School of Art in Washington, D.C.
I believe that. Yeah, that's great.
Because I'm left-brained?
Because you're left-brained, and that's why you can rise and get the jobs that the left-brain society dictates that you are qualified for, and you are smart. I mean, there's no question about it. The right brain just is a different way of thinking. And people who really have like a balanced left and right brain would be somebody like Bill Gates or somebody. And I think Stassy's got a really good balance there. So we're supposed to have kind of balance both ways. But the way our learning, I believe, our education, the way it has been structured has been from a left brain standpoint.
Okay, lesson for tonight, because I want to finish the call. Lesson for tonight. Marilyn's lesson for tonight is that, in her opinion, a person who is predominantly right brain has a better chance at solving Fenn's poem than a person who is left brain dominant. Is that accurate?
Yes, because they are really.
You don't have to tell me because you've already stated that. All right. Well, thanks for calling in. Feel free to call in the future. We can talk about things that don't have anything to do with your theory about where the treasure is, but relates to things like this. We just talked about the poem with no clues. You could tell your team on my behalf that you haven't given us being me and everyone in the room at any given point in time, anything that would cause them to jump out of their chairs, put down their beer or whatever refreshment they're drinking, and go head out and look for the treasure. Okay, so
I don't think they're concerned. They just
your location is safe.
Right. Okay.
And also, you might ask them. Maybe they're just thinking about you. Maybe they're
and actually, that's what they said. They were concerned about me giving too much personal information about myself. Which, I've already been there. So it's not a problem.
Yeah. Well, we're past that.
Oh, I am. Yes.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you again. I'm sure.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Bye now.
Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay. I did have a couple of calls come in that I do want to respond to before we move on, before somebody else calls in. So let's get that taken care of. So that was Destin, Florida. Let's see who that is.
Hello.
Destin, Florida. It's Toby Younis with the Gypsy Kiss. I'm returning your call.
Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I just have a quick question.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Like everybody else, I've got my 9 clues solved, and it takes me to a very specific point.
Oh, you know what you get for that?
What's that? Oh, no, no, I haven't found anything.
Oh, all right. Okay.
My question's this. After I found it, I got on Google Earth and I found something I thought was kind of peculiar. Um, there's a way you can track your path down roads
Hmm.
and will tell you the mileage
Right. Yeah.
that you've extended. And it came out to 24.2,
From
which I thought
24.2 miles
miles
between what and what?
between the Warm Water Salt and the Blaze.
Wow. Wow. 22.2 miles.
No,
So
24.2.
24.2 miles. So let's go back and use Fenn and what he said. He said that he parked his car and he made 4 trips, 2 up and 2 back to hide the treasure. In that 24.2 mile scenario of yours, which portion, what part of it did he walk?
The last approximately 250 feet.
Okay, so it's not the 24.2 miles can represent a drive of 24.1 miles and a walk of a total of 1,000 feet. Is that what you're saying?
You could walk 1,000, but you'd walk right by it.
No. I'm saying 1,000 feet in four 250-foot trips would mean 1,000 feet.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Oh, okay. So what's the question?
Well, the third line.
Not far, but too far to walk?
Yeah, well, I heard him in an interview one time, and he was talking numbers, and he used the term for 4. He used the term far, like a Texan would say.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder if that's got anything to do with 24.2. Could he be actually saying a number there? And I've heard other people, state that may be a number.
Yeah.
Nothing special in that, but I just thought it was interesting. But what made it really interesting to me is, this was months ago that I was doing this. And what made it really interesting is I said, I wonder how many air miles that is.
You mean as the crow flies miles or
exactly.
Polar miles?
No, as the crow flies.
Okay.
Just a straight line from where Warm Water Salt, or the one I've selected anyway.
And what did you come up with?
17, exactly.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought that was interesting because I've heard some people say on YouTube and other places that $17 a square inch may be translatable to some distance.
Yeah.
And my question is this. Is that anything but confirmation bias?
So the answer to that question is the answer to your question is yes, it is confirmation bias. But for the most part, we have to operate with our own theories, solves, as some people call them, in the context of whatever confirmation bias can help us get there. That doesn't mean necessarily that your theory is wrong. It's just a theory. And if you can find some way, you take your theory, you measure the air miles, and it comes to the number 17, and you can say, well, yeah, he did write $17 a square inch, and I don't know what other times he's using, and you say, well, that confirms my theory. That's okay. I mean, if you listen to any conversation that you have with another searcher, and I've had a lot of them, the majority of the theory is substantiated mostly by what I would describe as confirmation bias. But you've got to have that in order. So I'm always asking people, do you believe that Forrest Fenn hid a treasure? Right? Because if you don't believe that, don't waste your damn time. Don't, if you don't believe, if you don't have faith that you have, that he hid a treasure, well, at some point, if you're spending money to go boots on the ground, and in this day and age, it's going to be expensive. If you're not like we are a couple hundred miles away from our search location, it's going to cost thousands of dollars. No matter how cheaply you do it. I'm reminded of Illinois Ghost, who has gone through 3 or 4 vehicles as he drives out here, sleeps in his van, looks for every way to discount the expense of the trip. And he goes out there, and you know what he's doing it on? He's doing it on a theory that is firmed up that is founded upon confirmation bias.
Yeah.
And the simple fact of the matter is confirmation bias is not good in intelligence work, right? That's why that's why there's processes to ensure you eliminate as much confirmation bias as possible. They have these meetings where they ask you these ungodly questions that make you realize that your intelligence analysis is mostly confirmation bias. But when it comes to a treasure hunt, when it comes to your theory of the treasure hunt, there's nothing wrong with you feeling like you have what people refer to as confirmers. Other people refer to as confirmation bias. So to me, it is my opinion that there's nothing wrong with confirmation bias, because if there is, then you ought to stop looking for the treasure. You ought to stop developing that theory. You know, I take a lot of flack for using the New Mexico fishing regulations, and I can explain in infinitesimal detail why why it's the New Mexico fishing regulations, right? That for me is confirmation bias. But if I don't have that, then I got to quit wasting my time here. Then I don't have a theory that I can believe in. And you don't have to believe. Here's the rules of this game. You don't have to believe in anybody else's theory but your own. And you have.
No, I agree with
and
everything you're saying.
Yeah, and part of that is what you feel are the things that confirm that your theory is a valid one. Now, I will point out that until you actually lay hands upon that treasure, it is just a theory.
Oh, absolutely. No, I know it's nothing more than a theory. I've known that all along. Actually, my theory is self-confirming in that the poem itself confirms it. I wasn't looking for any. I looked at the book carefully afterwards, and I went, wow. You know, there's a lot of things in here that apply to this, but I was being cognizant of confirmation bias and say, okay, am I just trying to find something here? And but these two coincidences.
Yeah.
My son is a brilliant mathematician, and I asked him what the odds were that those two places happened to come together.
Right.
And he said, well, it's in the many, many millions to one.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought, why is that? I mean, I don't understand why. I'm not into mathematics like he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought it was unusual when he said it was millions to one. But, you know, I could think there's got to be hundreds, maybe thousands of other places like that.
Well, I would say there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other places that would result in a number that could confirm. So for me, if I were to perform the same kind of analysis that you did and said my distance is, I don't have a distance like this, but let's say it was 9 miles. Well, the confirmer would be because there's 9 clues. And let's say instead of following the route on Google Earth like you did, I did the as the crow flies, and it turned out to be 6 miles. Well, because I'm a big fan of the whole 369 theory, right?
I know.
It would start saying, it would start telling me that, oh my God, your theory has value. So in my opinion, if you have confirmers that I would interpret as confirmation bias, it doesn't make any difference in it.
And I understand that.
As long as you believe. It's like religion, right? If you were and I don't know what you are, but if you were a strong Catholic, you believed in the existence of a supreme being, and you believed that there was a Holy Spirit and a Son who was called Jesus, those are your beliefs, and ignore whatever I have to believe. I have my beliefs, and I have my reasons, and I have my confirmers, my confirmation bias. But it's your theory in this case. And
my original confirmers really came strictly from the poem and not in the 9 clues. They came from the first verses.
The first
fifth
stanza.
And sixth.
Yeah.
And the fifth and sixth.
Yeah.
And when I found it, I went, wow, that fits perfectly with the first, fifth, and sixth, and I don't even have to push it. It's just right there.
Right. And that, to me, if you were to say that my confirmers, and I'm using, I don't even know if that word exists, and I think confirmers are a word that, hang on just a sec. I think that I think that's a word we invented. Let's see, a verb. Oh no, it's a verb. Confirm. Let me see. To confirm, to uphold, to be confirmed, to be corroborated. Right. So it's in now. It happens to be in Wiktionary, which is I don't see it in. Yeah. See, it's in Wiktionary. So
Yes.
it's become a when it's in Wiktionary like that, it's it's part of popular culture.
Right.
Right. There's no Webster's definition for or
Right.
Collier's definition for confirmers, but it's a perfectly acceptable word to use for things that you feel confirm, add value, or enhance your theory. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So, in answer to your first question, is yeah, it's confirmation bias, but without that,
Yeah.
why are you going to get off the couch? Right. You got to
Well,
have.
that was I guess that's what I was really thinking. I was saying to myself, is this really worth driving 1,500 miles to check out? It's not like I have, 25 other ideas in that area that I could look at. And
Yeah.
while I was there, I've got 3 or 4 others that really don't take me to a specific place.
Yeah.
But this one took me to a very specific place.
I can't remember the searcher who said it, but and I'll paraphrase because I don't remember the exact quote. There is nothing that will nothing that will destroy a theory faster than boots on the ground. But I strongly recommend that for anyone who hasn't been boots on the ground, if you can afford it, and if you've put this much effort, we have a woman in our member vault. And she's put years into thinking about this. And she's just waiting for the moment where she has the money in her account enough to say, all right, I'm finally going boots on the ground. You know what? And I don't know what her theory, actually, do I know? I do know what her theory is. And it's not a theory that I would put boots on the ground for, that I would put the money for, but I'm not coming from the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
And so I have to ask myself as the head of the member vault, as the guy with Shelley who put this all together, do I tell her it's a waste of time and destroy that dream? And the answer is no. I don't know where the treasure is. And I freely admit I have no idea where that treasure is. I haven't the slightest idea what warm waters halt are. I have my opinion.
Exactly.
I have my opinion. So far be it for me to take someone who's saved the money, developed the theory, confirmed it in a variety of ways as much as they possibly can, and say to themselves, I'm going to go find out.
My whole concept behind this was that, look, maps are noun specific. They are places.
Right, that's right.
And they have names. And these, most of the clues in this appear to be, anyway, nothing more than concepts. So how do you find a concept on a map? And I said, well, I can't find a concept on a map.
No, you can't.
But
They have to be translated.
I can find possibly the one noun that shows up, and that is brown.
Right.
So I found a home of brown. I back engineered it to warm waters and fit perfectly. And I thought, well, maybe I'm onto something. And then I went on from there, and it got stickier after that. And then listening to a few YouTubes and reading intensely and all kinds of things, I came up with solutions for the others that made perfect sense with what Fenn was saying in the book. And so I thought, I might have something. So I think I might try it out.
You know what? If nothing else, and here's what we also recommend to everyone. If you've gone through the trouble of developing this theory, what state are you looking in, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't want to say.
All right. So if you've gone through all the trouble of working out this theory, if you've gone through the additional effort of putting the money away or realizing that you're not going to spend your children's college fund to go there,
I'm not.
right? Then think of it as a vacation, plan it like a vacation, and use part of your vacation to look for a treasure. And how much?
Now, I'm going to sound like an awful person here, but
you're leaving your family. You told your family, "Screw you, I'm going alone."
I've traveled extensively throughout the Rocky Mountains.
Uh-huh.
It was my favorite thing to do when I became wealthy at a young age.
Yeah.
Through a stroke of luck. And I thought I was brilliant, but no. When I look back on it, I said I got lucky. There's no doubt.
There's nothing better than luck to make a businessman.
Well, anyway, I lived in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah.
And
nice, expensive place to live.
Well, it's far more expensive than when I was there.
Yeah.
I was there 40 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I'm your age.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And yeah, we're both I'll be 71 this year. You're already 71.
Yeah.
And I love that area. I've been up to Yellowstone area, for instance, many times, and that area just disappoints me. It's nice, but it's nothing compared to the Grand Tetons and the Jackson Valley.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But I've actually got 17 other solutions, but none of them take me to a specific point.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got into this, I said, look, this thing can't take me to a very, very specific place. I'm not interested because I'm not going combing around a mile by a mile or a quarter mile by a quarter mile even. It's got to get me down to a very specific place. So I felt very lucky in my analysis that I came up with this. And but it was just so interesting to me that those two numbers happened to work out with what other people were saying might be some distances. And I thought, now you're jumping at confirmation bias. You're leaving the poem. Don't do that. No, just don't do that. I'm making a mistake doing that. And I wanted your opinion because you've had a lot more input, and therefore your analytics are fantastic.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to somehow get your opinion as to whether this might have some value. It's not that important to me.
Yeah. Here's what I can do. It's not one that I would jump at and say, because I'm not looking at that 24-mile distance. But it's also not one that I can tell you ignore it and follow the Toby style, right? It's 1,000 feet from where you park the car. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that because I don't know where the treasure is, right? The only thing I can tell you is it's not one I would spend any money on, but I also don't know where the treasure is. So,
well, I don't live in Jackson anymore, and it'll be a nice trip just to go back there.
You know what?
Changed dramatically. It's I don't like it anymore.
Well, the nice thing about having money now is you can afford to go back to Jackson.
Oh yeah, it's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I wish if I'd held on to my property. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, it's not only changed. It's really expensive. Everything is expensive, and it's gotten to be.
Well, the billionaires pushed out the Texas millionaires about 35 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I didn't like about Jackson Hole was going in and going out. You've got to do those two roads that have signs that say. I remember that the sign was something like. It was like a terrible warning sign. I certainly wouldn't do it. We did it in the fall, and so all we had to do was drive it, and just driving it was like, holy.
I have no clue what you're talking about those signs.
Oh, okay. There's some signs that say something. I'm trying to remember what they say, and it's something like, make sure your brakes are in good working order, something like that. It's it's not even it's not the kind of warning that says rock slides ahead or curves ahead. It's like a warning sign that says, are you actually sure you know what you're doing? Because this is one scary road, brother.
I don't know what road you're on because most of those roads are pretty easy to get through.
Oh man, there was one. I think it was coming out of Jackson Hole and going. I don't even know what pass it was over, but it had some strange sign. I wish I had taken a picture. Of course, I was driving, but it was one of those signs that I'd say, why are they using that sign? It's not even a road warning. Rock slides or slippery roads. It was like. You're going to die.
Were you on pavement?
Yeah, no. It was on pavement. It was on pavement.
Wow.
That's what I was. Next time I go back up there, I'll take a picture of it because I just.
There's only 3 ways to get in and out of there, so I really don't. I can't think of what. I can think of Toby Pass, but it wouldn't have anything like that. Now, if you went through the town of Wilson and you ended up in Victor, Idaho, that's a little more dangerous road. But nothing. I mean, you're from the mountains. It's nothing unusual.
Yeah. It was just.
But I'm surprised.
It was
it
was just an odd little sign that I thought was interesting. So.
Well,
all right.
You. Thank you very much for your help.
My pleasure. You have a good evening, and thanks for calling in.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye.
Shadow, you know what, Shadow? I don't remember the name of the pass. It was just, I thought it was interesting because the warning signs were very different from any warning sign over any pass, including some of the ones in Colorado that I had been over, and it was just a weird sign. I wish I could remember it. Maybe Shelly, she's probably watching Netflix right now. But asking about this, so LR, yeah, it sounds like he's been there, but going back to Jackson Hole is like going back to Vail or Park City, Utah. It's big money. Big money. All right, guys, let's play some music and then maybe we'll open up the phone lines for just a little while longer. I am very disappointed to see that we dropped off and came back on because I was looking at the analytics and that wasn't us. That was all YouTube. So, damn you, YouTube. Longview, Washington. Hey, Longview, what's your name and what are you calling about?
My name's Vic. I'm calling about the hunt.
Yeah.
First time caller.
Hey, nice.
Oh, am I talking to you live?
You are talking to me live, and you're talking to everybody else in the room live. So
I understand that. I'm watching you on TV, but you are not responding to me. So
you know what?
I thought I was talking to a voice.
No. We're about anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds behind, ahead of what you're seeing on TV.
You just caught me off guard. So
no worries.
Just thought I'd call in, check in. Started the search back in August. It was just kind of just an off thing to do.
Yeah.
It's going to live in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Was going to take a trip with the boys to go sturgeon fishing since they basically shut us down, and I love sturgeon, but there's an area in Eastern. We didn't get to do that, so we had about 4 days before school, and I told a buddy of mine, I said, I got to find something for the boys to do. I said, I think we're going to head over by I'm from Montana, grew up in northeastern Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Eagle Scout, had an active Boy Scout troop. We spent our summers in western Montana, Wyoming. My family, we went to the park when you used to be able to pet the bears and stuff like that alongside the road.
Wow.
And stuff when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy stuff that people did back then.
Yeah, because we didn't know any better.
Yeah. Look at, if people want to watch something, there's a show, National Parks, America's Greatest Idea. I recommend people watch that because we are blessed to have our public lands that we have. Any other country any other place in this world, the only people that have land like our public lands is private people,
right?
Rich private people, and they don't, So as a public, you don't get to go utilize that stuff.
Yeah.
So we're blessed.
Yeah, no, we're blessed, and it's fortunate that people are very aware when the government tries to take back some of that land. As they have a couple of places here in New Mexico, and not only do people fight it, but legislators fight it, legislators fight it for us. So, you're right. I think we're very blessed to have the public lands we do.
Right. So I've been over, started in August. I took the family over there, and we spent 4 days in an area. Originally, I was going to go up north around Gardner, where a lot of people have spent time up there because I know that area up there.
Yeah.
My first reading of the poem, that was it. I knew it was there. I was heading that direction.
Yeah.
But we watched a little bit of videos on TV and some stuff and seen some stuff, and I kind of got looking, and I got a different area that I'm shopping, and I've been back 9 times now.
Wow.
And I'll tell anybody out there, I'll tell Barry from Florida and all that. I've had fellows that beat his calls 100%.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure I would have blown the rooster. I'd have called you and told you I know where it's at. I was first time it didn't work out. I was like everybody else. That's bullshit. This is not true. He didn't have a trader because I know exactly where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't work that way. And then so I come back, and by the time I get back, it's a bit of a drive to get back here. And the first few times were pretty expensive, taking the family with me, doing stuff like that, And, treasure hunting is an addiction, And I got kind of, by the time I got back, I was thinking about it, I see this thing a little bit different than I read it. It still puts me, I got my warm waters halt. I just look at it and I haven't seen anybody come up with my ideas. People are a little skewed on the way they think about where warm waters start.
Yeah.
So that's my ideas, my opinion. I use that, so I've got that taken care of. We'll get to what I'm looking for from you guys. I know I have a home of brown. Got that taken care of. Feel comfortable about that. I got the no place for the meat figured out. Feel very comfortable. There's some distance problems in there that I'm dealing with. I'm not very far. My whole solve is within 1.5 miles.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I like that number.
So
I like that number a lot.
I feel comfortable about it. It's been the problem with 1.5 miles, and you're in a 3 square miles, 3 sections of land or 4 sections of land is you could hunt your whole lifetime.
Yeah.
And this poem, I would not want Forrest to give me directions to anywhere. This guy can give you the most ambiguous, generalized directions in this poem because, like I said, I've had 9 very good solves that put me onto a 12 by 12 area, and I have yet to find that treasure there. I still feel I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
Occam's razor says, keep everything the same. Make simple changes, And as I've moved along and progressed, I think my biggest deal is I fell in love with the area. So I don't care if I find a treasure there or not. I'm enjoying this area. Reminds me so much of where I grew up, and and it's within reach of here with a little bit of driving.
Yeah.
But what it gets me to is now I've got that. But where I get into trouble, and this is where Forrest really messes with us, is when he says, there'll be no paddle up your creek. Okay, I have a creek. Okay, when he says no paddle up the creek, that works for me. That tells me I'm not going up the creek. But then he comes along and says, heavy loads and water high, except for heavy loads and water high. He tells us that he takes 2 trips with the treasure. That can be considered a heavy load, right? So now they turn around and basically taken and said, well, you can go upstream if you want to, because if you're taking the treasure upstream, you can go upstream. So, or downstream. So it's become ambiguous at that part, and I get that without solving that, it increases your area tremendously.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So that's my question. I hear not a whole lot's talked about. Heavy loads, water high. I've thought of rocks. I've thought of logs. Water high could be snow. Snow.
Waterfall. Water favorite
high.
one is waterfall.
Waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. No waterfalls in my area. Reels, whatever you want to call it, small stream. That's there, which he talks a lot about. And I feel comfortable about that. I would say that most people would say that it's not finny enough. But then I don't know. He lives in New Mexico. That's kind of a high desert area. So, yep. So that's what my question would be to the chat room is, what does he mean by heavy loads? Could he be considering the treasure as being those heavy loads? That's my feeling, is that's what he's talking about.
So I have my own theory.
Okay.
Not about each of the the clues and what they represent in the poem, or represent on the ground, the clues in the poem that represent physical objects on the ground. But the simple fact of the matter is, and one of the questions that because I could ask, what does everybody think about what he means when he says no paddle, and I'll just take one, for example, there's no paddle up your creek, right? The thing to me, and where I've been getting the area that I've been heading to, and I don't mean in terms of the poem, but the logic, as Marilyn, the logic that I've been heading to recently is, it doesn't make any difference what everybody else thinks it is. It only makes a difference what Fenn thinks it is. So you have to keep asking yourself, what is it that Fenn was looking at? And a lot of this evolution of my theory about this comes from the reading of The Secret and the stories associated with how he put together that book, how he put together the secret, the idea, the book, with the meanings in the book, the verses that he put in there, the images that he created. But there's this consistency of one thing. He went to every location. and he made notes about that location. And from those notes, he went back and he constructed the verse that represented the clues that tell you that, right? So what he saw, and I constantly refer people to that episode of Expeditions Unknown. It's a bit exaggerated because that's in the nature of Joss Gates. That's what he does. That's what he's paid the big bucks for. But for the most part, you could understand how the clues in the verse represented physical locations from his perspective, from Weiss's perspective, from Byron Weiss's perspective, right? He looked at the names of two Greek philosophers carved into the marble face of the Boston Public Museum and turned that into a clue, a metaphor that became a clue. He saw that. He made the note. So, and it took hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of people to understand exactly what he did. So I wonder, what did Fenn see when he made a note in the book that said blank, and then when he got back, he wrote something in his notebook, right, as he was backtracking from where the place where he planned to hide the treasure to his car, and he's making notes along the way. And the reason I know it's how we were hiding a treasure last year or 2 years ago now? Last year for Fenbury, and we were hiding it near the location of the Fenbury. And Shelley and Kevin and I walked along what was a path there because it was easy. You know, we didn't want to make it difficult for each of us. And Shelley would point something out, and I would take a picture of it. I would take a photograph of it. And that was the equivalent of our notes. And she'd point something else out. They'd take a picture of that. And then the closer we got to where we were hiding the treasure, we turned around, hid the treasure, turned around. We went to a restaurant because by that time Fenbury was closing down that afternoon. We went to the restaurant. I handed Shelley my telephone on which I had taken these pictures, and she started writing a poem using metaphors of the photographs that I took. And I thought to myself, while I was watching her do this, while I was kind of, I was participating in it, but I was watching her doing this, that's when it struck me. Do you think that Forrest Fenn went up there more than once, I'm sure, before he decided to hide this treasure? But in each time, he'd walk back from the location of that treasure, and he'd make notes. I don't know if Fenn is I'm a notebook guy, right? I write in notebooks I fill notebooks, multiple notebooks a month with notes. So I don't know if he's that kind of guy. I don't know that he's a photographer kind of guy because that's how I record things now. So you have to ask yourself, what was it that he was looking at that either made a physical note in a notebook or a mental note in his head that resulted in not far but too far to walk, or no paddle, or no place for the meek, etc., etc. Because in the case of No Place for the Meek, I could use the story of Joseph Meek, right? I could use this in the Cimarron. I used the story of Reverend Toby, who was assassinated as part of the cattle wars that were going, the land wars that were going in there. No Place for the Meek. But the simple fact of the matter is, I don't. The more I think about it, is I don't think that it represents some historical situation. I think it represents Forrest Fenn effectively. And I'm just using this as an example. Imagine if Forrest Fenn is walking back from where he hid the treasure towards his car. He sees something interesting on his walk, and he takes a picture, a photograph of it. And then he walks back to his car, drives home, and works on figuring out this poem. And all he's doing is all he did was create a poetic version of a series of metaphors that represent landmarks of the walk back from where he hid the treasure. And so whether or not Reverend Toby was assassinated near Cimarron at where Clear Creek enters the Cimarron doesn't have any relevance. In my opinion, and all of these are my opinions.
Right.
And so I started asking, how far can I get away from the idea that if I were to look at a dam, for example, what metaphor, how would I describe that dam? Well, I might describe it as heavy loads and water high. But it's a dam. And I'm not suggesting, he said the treasure, I don't know if the poem or the treasure is not associated with the dam, but it's a metaphorical representation of something that physical that he saw on the way back from his trip from the special place.
Right. But I wouldn't discount the use of a dam, but it's not going to be around the dam. But if that dam is upstream or whatever from wherever your search pattern, it could be upstream, several miles, 20 miles, 50 miles, and he could still use heavy loads for being something like that. Because that was one I looked at for a while too, heavy loads being a dam with the electric power.
Right.
My dad worked in a steam-driven coal plant in eastern Montana, but I didn't go that way for very long. I did. Right. It did get me started in my area for a while, though, and I who knows, may come back and haunt me that I didn't stay focused that way. But, you read the poem one way, and then you'll sit back and, when you got 1,000 miles to drive home, it gives you some time to really, and then you're tired from a long ways. You can really get some thoughts going.
No, I've been there, done that. We don't have to drive 1,000 miles. We only, our search area is, 300 miles away from us.
Right.
But it's always like I have that 300 miles to think to myself, how did I mess up that time?
Yeah.
That's what it
feels
like.
I always found it kind of, I grew up in eastern Montana, went to college down in Arizona, Prescott, Arizona.
Yeah.
On my way, I drove through northern New Mexico, and it was kind of funny. I told people here and everywhere for the longest time, Washington's a great place, but as you get older, your bones don't like the weather.
Yeah.
So I said, if I moved away from here, I'd probably move to northern New Mexico. It's absolutely gorgeous there in the mountains and stuff. I drove through there and fell in love with it. It's kind of like where I'm searching now. I drove there. What the funniest thing was, I thought I covered every place in Wyoming and Montana, and all of a sudden you go somewhere you've never been before.
Right.
And it's like, so I find it delightful to learn new areas. So even, like I say, and the enjoyment of having a reason to be there, and like I say, but I'm a firm believer in the poem gives you specific areas. You just got to know what he is talking about. But he gets a little vague when he gets to that. When he gets to that creek, all of a sudden it gets a little more vague. He says it gets simpler, but I think there's something. Then he tells you to look for the blaze. It's like, okay, I've already found a blaze, and I've utilized that blaze. It hasn't given me that, but which brings up a subject matter. Sometimes I think that he is like I am. I'm in business, and you deal with people, and communication breakdown in the English language is terrible. I can say something to you. He says it. He says that one thing he says. Yeah, he says, a buddy of mine got a new camera. I caught a fish, and he took me a picture of me with it. Okay, what's it? Is it the camera? Is it the fish? So I asked customers, I said, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get tired of me asking you questions, but I'll probably ask you the same thing 3 ways, same thing in 3 different ways, because I've done stuff where I thought for sure I knew exactly what the customer was talking about. The end result is, no, I didn't. So you have to make sure you ask it in different ways so that you can understand what somebody's saying to you. And that's exactly what this poem is. It's set up with generalizations because, like I said, 9 times I knew where the treasure was at.
Yeah, don't we all?
I was ready to crow.
Right.
Yeah, I was ready to crow. I even had one that was so hilarious that he said that when you find the treasure, you're just going to put your head back and laugh. I was laughing all the way for 1,000 miles to get there because I had it figured out. And the way I figured it out, it was absolutely hilarious. Got there, all I had was a nice trip, but it gave me more boots on the ground. I visually looked over. My problem is I started in August last year. So by the time I really seriously started to kind of understand the area, the snows were already flying. And I spent most of my trips back there. I actually took a trip back there April Fool's Day. That was the one that I was laughing at. I'm like, oh my gosh, there ain't no better day. I said it to go back April Fool's because I thought for sure there's no better way than to find that treasure on April Fool's Day. Well, you know who the biggest fool was? It was me driving 1,000 miles and going there. But you know what? I've never felt sorry for any trip that I've taken there. I've enjoyed every one of them. So I think the family, I got to call you guys because I think the family is tired. They don't even, when I say I know where the treasure is at, they just put their head back and walk away.
Roll their eyes and go, "No, Dad, not again." Yeah, I think we have learned from experience that a lot of the calls, whether they're consulting calls or calls on the phone, are calling and want to talk about it primarily because they've used up the relationships, all the other relationships, you know, talking about the treasure in the hunt and the poem, Forrest Fenn, and the treasure in the hunt, the poem of Forrest Fenn. So we don't mind it. That's what we talk about here. So I'm okay with it.
So I kind of, lately, since we've been locked up, there's been a lot of video time. And I spent the off season. As of right now, I'm still a poem purist. I ordered a book. Of course, it's coming from some store in New York, so
why didn't you order it from Collected Works? So, folks,
well,
go ahead.
Because I thought it was going to be faster from the place, and so now I'm kind of stroked and stuck in it. They say that it's en route, but they've told me that for a while now.
So let me advise everybody here: if you haven't purchased The Thrill of the Chase, the book, Forrest Fenn's book, you can get on the Collected Works bookstore website. They have a link there for you. You can order it from there. It's $35 plus their archaic form of shipping, but they'll charge you list price. And if you ask, they will have it signed by Forrest. Forrest goes to the bookstore once in a while, and he signs books for them. So don't buy them from eBay or Amazon or any place else. No. If it's more than $35, just go back to the Collected Works bookstore. So
well, it was $48, so I felt good about it, but now I'm not.
Didn't mean to hurt you. Well, if that includes, you know what? If that included shipping, you're actually okay because I think that's about what they charge for shipping. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I looked at it and I thought, well, I might get it faster through these people than trying to go through the Collected Works because of everybody trying to get it through them. So, but so it didn't work out that way, and So
let us know. That's fine. Let us know. First of all, call back as you're making progress through your theories, and then when you go to get the treasure, let us know and let us know how you did.
Yeah. Well, I'm going back. I got an area. I'm still in my area. I need to go back, and when I go back, it's not going to be just for the 48. I can do the trip. I've done it several times. 49 hours. I leave here. I go there. I'm back and forth. It gives me about 4 to 5 hours to search my area there.
Wow.
But so it's a tough trip, and just live in the car. It started out thousands of dollars a trip.
So did you say you're coming from Washington?
Yeah, I'm coming from Washington State. Yeah.
48 hours to your search area? Because I used to drive.
No, that's there and back again.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes more sense. Yeah.
Round trip with search.
Okay. Because I used to drive. I used to drive New Mexico to Virginia, and that was a 36-hour. Sleep in the car kind of thing. So.
It's about on a good run. I'll tell you, it's nice to running hard during the coronavirus because the police don't pull you over. It's a no contact situation. Yeah. So,
or just start when they do, and you roll down the window. Just start sneezing and coughing in their direction.
Yeah. That's what I figured. That's cool. No, the trips were pretty quick the last couple of times during the coronavirus stuff because I've been held up here for a while, and it's snowed there lately. So, and now it looks like it's starting to clear. But I'm not going to go back probably till sometime in June, late June. Yeah. I got too much work here to take care of. I'm a contractor, building a house. Yeah. Of course, now since I can't have anybody work on the house, I have to do it by myself.
Right.
So I've been out there putting the tool belt on and building a house by myself. So, so hopefully,
I envy anybody who can build a house by themselves. So.
Oh, I've done several of them. Yeah. I know people look at me and they go, "Oh my gosh, you built that whole damn thing by yourself." Yeah. Yeah. I said, I usually do that. So
very nice.
But I don't the electrical. I usually like to hire that out.
All right, we're getting off Fenn Treasure here. So.
Okay. Yeah, I will let you go. Thank you.
My pleasure. Feel free to call back
I-
anytime. Anytime you have questions, I can at least help you look through them rationally. I'm not going to talk you out of anything.
Yeah.
And then and people, you know, we got a chat room. It likes listening to what you're saying. So, and you're a new caller. Everybody likes new callers.
Yeah, I held out for a long time. I thought, well, I'll give a call.
Why not?
Stuck in the house. I might as well.
I'm starting to
call
quote.
in, say-
I'm starting to quote Donald Trump. What have you got to lose?
Yeah. So my political thing is we need to vote for Trump because I need the economy back. And Biden, he just can't put a sentence together. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's all the politics I'll say.
All right,
Have a beautiful
good.
night.
Talk to you later.
Happy hunting, safe hunting. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Well, let's see. We got a couple of voicemails. Let's see.
Toby, this is Mitchell, and I just needed to ask you a quick question. It'll take about a couple of minutes. Give me a call back when you can. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, I got to need to. So, big question. It's 9:00. I'm going to go refresh my drink. I need to know whether we should go one more hour or not. If you believe we should go one more hour, since we had some sort of YouTube dysfunctionality. Working with YouTube is like having a dysfunctional family, except everybody else in the family is dysfunctional. It's YouTube. But that doesn't make me angry. So I'm going to play a piece of music. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go refresh my drink. I strongly recommend you do the same thing. And then if you believe we should go another hour, type 1 in your comment line, and we'll count those up and see if anybody believes that we should go an hour. Okay? So we're going to play Slow Times Over Here by Midnight North. A little soft rock. Ew, I like this already. This almost sounds like snuggling music, doesn't it? That's some snuggling. Find somebody you love and snuggle with them right now. That's some snuggling music. Oh, well, maybe it's not. Sorry. Sarah. Hi, Sarah. I'm going to go get my drink. You guys go refresh yours. I will refresh mine. Boom. another voicemail here too. Let me see what's going on there.
Oh, Toby, this is Mr. T. Give me a call back.
All right, let's call Florida first.
Hey, Toby, this is Mitchell, and I just needed to ask you a quick question. It won't take but a couple of minutes. Give me a call back when you can. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, I want everybody to remember he said a couple of minutes, so just a couple of minutes. Did we decide we're staying on for another hour? Okay, Mitchell, we called.
Your call has been forwarded to an auto.
We called, Mitchell. All right, let's call Mr. T.
Oh, Toby, this is Mr. T. Give me a call back.
All right. Let's call Mr. T. Dang nabbit, this afternoon I bit the tip of my tongue and it hurt, it left the little mark.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. T, it's Toby. That's the other
Hey,
Mr.
what's
T.
going on?
Not a whole bunch. I'm sitting here in front of the camera and lights in my studio and control room. How about you? What are you doing?
Did you refresh your drink?
I did, yes, thank you.
So did I.
Oh, good. We had the time. That was a long song. That was a 4-minute and 38-second song there, so we had plenty of time.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Oh, gosh. All right, I'll go with it.
Did you get a manila envelope sometime this week?
No, I haven't, and the reason is, so let me tell you, the address that you have is a UPS store.
Okay.
And so I used to go there a couple of times a week, but since the virus, I've only been going, I go out on Saturdays and I try to get my face masked errands done all at once. And I went by there today because it's right next to my grocery store. And I went by there today and there was a line outside of about 10 people. So they're restricting the number of people in, and I didn't have the patience to wait. And then I spoke with Shelley later in the afternoon, and she said that's because everybody is going out on Saturdays, masks askew, and running their errands. And so I'll go on Monday so that I'll have it by Tuesday. I'm sorry.
Right.
No. Let me say that again. I'll go on Monday where there's less traffic, and I'll have it by Wednesday night's show.
All right.
All right. Is that fair?
Oh, that's fair.
Sounds like it's important. I'm looking forward to opening it.
I told you I was going to send you a little something, so I'm sending you a little something.
I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to opening it. My only regret is that Shelley will not be here to share the opening with me, but we'll be together in a virtual Zoom mode.
There you go. Well,
let me ask you a question. You know what?
Sure.
Would it be more appropriate for Shelley to open it than me?
Well, no. I mean, if you wanted, you can open it, or
okay.
It doesn't really matter. It's
okay.
Just a little information.
All right. Okay. Well, then I'll look forward to it. Like I said, I'll pick it up on Monday, and then we'll open it on Wednesday's show.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, it's just a little information to let you know who the lead searcher is.
The lead searcher. You know how I feel about the lead searcher, don't you?
Yeah, you'll change your mind.
All right. Okay. Well, then I'm really looking forward to it.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, and thanks for the information. I'll pick it up on Wednesday or Monday. We'll discuss it on Wednesday.
Very good.
All right.
All right. We'll see you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. LR, I'm aware of that they do have a senior morning on Tuesday, but I have the delivery. I have the unlimited monthly, whatever it's called. I do deliveries, and usually they'll deliver it like the next day. Now they have it 2 days. They're getting rushed. So if I'm patient enough, like if I make an order on Saturday, it'll get delivered on Monday, which is where my recent delivery. So, and that the senior morning is weird because it's like 6:30 in the morning. You got to get all the old people up at 6 to go shopping. So yeah, it was a good idea. I just don't. I haven't been in early. I was like Fenn when I got out of the service. I promised myself I was never going to get up at 4:30 in the morning again. Not going to get up before the sun does. I'm neither a farmer, no disrespect to farmers, but I'm a late night person. I'm not an early morning person. I'm a morning person, but not an early morning person. See, we got some text messages. Let's see. Ken from Oklahoma, our friend, says, could callers say in what spot they would be? Oh, okay. This guy said, okay. So that was just some commentary on the Candy says heavy loads can also be sediment deposit. Ooh, I like that. That's very geologic to me and has some sense of permanence to it. Is the treasure still outside the northeast border of Yellowstone? Caught your search on Wonder Hussey's channel. So we don't know. So this is 819. We don't know where the treasure. Nobody knows where the treasure is. So I couldn't tell you if it's out the northeast border of Yellowstone. Caught you your search on Wonder Hussey. Wonder Hussey's such a good person. Sarah, her name is Sarah too. When we talked to her, she was at some place around between 35,000 and 40,000 subscribers, and now she's 100,000. And she's adorable. She's just a fun person to watch. She has a really cute way about her, and a wonderful sense of humor and a wonderful sense of adventure. If you haven't seen Wonder Hussey, go look at one of her videos. You'd like them. So he says, the same person says, which came first, the poem or the hidden treasure? Is the treasure real? Wow, that's so. It is likely that the order was he knew where he was going to hide the treasure. He wrote the poem. It went into the book. And about the same time as the book was being published, he hid the treasure. So it's not like a chicken and the egg thing. There was an integrated process in which he developed the poem, knew where he was going to hide the treasure, because he claims he always knew where he was going to hide. Well, not always, but he had for a long time, he knew where he was going to hide the treasure. So he wrote a poem to do that, hid the treasure, published the poem in the book. So it's not quite as chicken and the egg kind of thing. Let's see. It stopped and restarted about 27 minutes ago. You're staying on until midnight, Toby. Oh, my God. Midnight? Midnight where? Jim in Ohio. So midnight, Jim in Ohio, midnight for you. Is Ohio Eastern time or Central? Central time, right? So that would be 11 o'clock. Maybe I could do 11. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Where's our boy Rio Grande Joe? MIA and no treasure, right? Yeah, have you got a kind of funny feeling that Rio Grande Joe went? Yeah, that's what happened to Rio Grande Joe. Who knows? We'll put him. We should have a whole new category for the Tunarths and the Rio Grande Joes of the world, who just never come back after they announce they're going to find the treasure. We never see them again. Jan Schultz, Jeff and Schultz. Yeah, I'm still not a fan of that whole lead searcher thing. I don't get it. I don't know how you could make the measurement if you don't know where the treasure. I guess what bothers me about the thinking on the matter is, if you're the lead searcher, the indication being you're somehow closer to the treasure than any of the rest of us, then why don't you have the treasure? How could you be the lead searcher and not have the treasure is the question I want the answer to. And maybe Mr. T in this package that he's sending me will explain that, because I would sure like to hear that. So if Rio Grande comes back with a treasure, we'll give him... give him a nice round of applause, but perhaps it could be just as simple as he's taking the advice that I've given, that I've said that I would implement, and that is to not bring it up, just maintain your anonymity and go about monetizing or liquidating the treasure in however you see fit. So you two do a rooster not list after they search and don't find it or never call back. Yeah, there ought to be some sort of list that we make, because we've had a lot of them. We've had more than one of people who said they were going out to find the treasure and came back without the treasure, did have explanations, or went out to find the treasure and found a hole where the treasure was. So, but they, like we could put Barry and To North and Rio Grande Joe and a couple of others in there and said like, yeah, I went, wasn't there. So Sarah, what are you laughing at? I don't know what I said. Maybe Rio Grande Joe got the COVID. Oh, Shadow, we shouldn't wish that on anyone. Let's see, wasn't there a Missy too that ran off with To North? To North. I don't remember. Oh, what about the guys? We've also had those. We had 3 of them, including Barry, that one night where we had the guy that his girlfriend stole his theory and got the treasure. Then we had another guy that he and his friend were going up to get the treasure in a couple of days. And then we had Barry all on the same night. And what was interesting, of course, is no 2 of them were in the same location. So yeah, we could probably make a little. I can make a little book. I should do this. I should record each one of those conversations and then do a Studs Terkel kind of book called "The People Who Didn't Find Forrest Fenn's Treasure" for a variety of reasons. So, Ken from Oklahoma. Ken, Oklahoma. I agree. I think number of both is anti-qualifier. Sorry, boots on the ground. Spell check. That makes now I'm really confused. I agree. I think number of boots on the ground is an anti-qualifier. I don't know. So I claim my count is 34 boots on the ground. But in some of those cases, it was back to the same location. I've been to the Rio de los Pinos at least 8 times. So I think it's that you can't count each one of them as going to look for the treasure. Sometimes it's just going to collect intelligence or data, and part of the clapping. Okay, yeah, I have some new ones. You haven't heard it. I guess you weren't here on Wednesday. So here's all the new ones. Since I had that audio disaster the other night, it gave me the opportunity to refresh all the buttons on my Rodecaster. So here's the housekeeping is the same.
Housekeeping, you want towel?
Right, and here's the new ka-ching. Okay, and then I replaced something with this. You know what? And I did. There is actually a video on YouTube called "Roosters Crowing," and it's literally a compilation of dozens of maybe more than a dozen. I quit after about 15 of them, but it went on for another 15 minutes. Somebody had just compiled a video of roosters crowing, and I liked this one because it actually sounds like cock-a-doodle-doo. Listen to it. Yeah, huh? Let's see. And then I got a new applause. And that applause, so if you're ever looking for sound effects, I don't know that you guys have any reason to do this, but if you're ever looking for sound effects, I go to a place called freesound.org. And is it Free Sound or Sound Project? There's 2 of them. Hang on just a second. Yeah, freesound.org, and you register, and the sounds, you can download any sound effects, the guys that belong to it. There are literally thousands of guys uploading sound effects of different kind, and the only thing that they ask you to do is sometimes you can donate to Freesound, or you can upload your own sound effects. So you'll actually go there and hear sound effects that I've uploaded. I've done rivers and, stuff out in the field that a lot of people don't have. But I downloaded this applause from there, and this applause was recorded at a high school gym at a gymnastics tournament where they were introducing each of the members of each team. So listen to it; you can almost hear like the gymnasium sound in it. So it's a real applause, and somebody happened to be there with their digital recorder and picked up the sound. Then I got the dive, dive, dive sound for the 10 minutes. Oops, sorry. So that's for the 10 minutes. Although, you know what? I haven't kept to the 10 minutes tonight. Not because I think when I have to keep to the 10 minutes is when they start getting redundant, where they start telling the same story. Like Barry, every once in a while, he'll just start going and he starts repeating himself, and you call that to 10 minutes. But tonight, we had a lot of first-time callers, and they have an interesting story to tell. Candy called, and she wanted to talk about something that, unfortunately, I couldn't discuss with her. But I thought it was fair to let her, have her say, because she'd put a lot of research into it. So I didn't feel bad about going on beyond the 10 minutes, and then I have the intros. So those are all new. But like I said. Let's see, get sound updates. I think you need one that does so you can play when callers tell you that they went and someone took the treasure. Yeah. That's too bad. Actually, what I could do if I was really more patient about it, I could download. You can go to the App Store, and they actually have. Let me see if I can do this. Here, I'll do it from here. Hold on. I can go to the App Store, and you can search for sound effects. Oops. Or you can do, I get a kick out of Mike because he calls it a soundboard. And that was a term that was used. That's like back old radio DJ era reference. I actually like when he says that. So let's see. So you can buy meme soundboards. So let me see some of the memes here. So they have soundboards that you can create. They're blank basically, and you can add your own effects to it. But I don't want to turn this into that kind of show. I mean, I get a kick out of the sounds that we use, and I actually get a kick out of that. The ones that Mike uses. I especially like that the one where is it Carly B that does the coronavirus one, because I think that's totally cool. So I'm just going to install this to show you. So I can take one of these. It's called Meme Soundboard. So I have no idea what it is, but it'll download onto the phone, and then when I open it, it'll give me all these. I imagine meme sounds. I don't know. I don't actually know what meme sounds are, but let's take a look. Allow notifications. I don't want to enable notifications. Okay, so these are some of the meme sounds.
A man has fallen into the river in Lego City. Start the new rescue helicopter. Hey, build the helicopter. A man has fallen into the river.
Oh, so I didn't know. I don't know why these are meme sounds. Okay, I've never heard them before.
Let me put it in a language you can understand. Oh, so sorry. No charm in here. You deliver. Wrong place.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
So anyway, I could download any one of those. I actually found one that was, and I'm not making fun, not being political. It was a Donald Trump thing of some of his quotes, and it was pretty funny, actually. All right. Let me see if there's anything that I would recognize. Like I said, these are meme sounds, so they could come off Twitter or Twitch or. So I don't know why they're meme sounds. I don't know enough about them.
Good morning.
Good question.
So anyway, if I really was a soundboard kind of guy, I would. I could take any of those and we could play meme sounds all night. But we're not going to do that. Okay, let's see. Pretend Eastern. Oh, you're staying on until midnight. Central, sure, but yeah, Eastern. Pretend Eastern. Okay. Oh, goodness. Jim just wants to stay on as long as we can stay on. Ken from Oklahoma says, oh, boots on the ground. That was the correction. All right. So let's try our friend in Florida again, right? He was in Florida. Oh, and I've got to open up the phone line again because I closed it when I went to refresh my drink. So am I ignoring you guys here? Or are you having fun in the room by yourself? Are you all by yourself having fun in the room? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Watch. Listen to this. Doesn't want to play it. Soundbox. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. All right. Anyway, enough of that kind of fun. Let me go back to my phone. Let's call. Did we just talk to Kansas, right? So let's talk to. We got a voicemail from. Maybe it doesn't recognize my number.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic.
Okay, well, let's see. I did get a text message. Phone lines are open, so feel free to call. Somebody says, don't forget, if you're sending me a text message, include at least your first name or handle, and from this. How does that go? The state from which you are texting. Rio Grande Joe must have a new girlfriend, and she has him on lockdown and tied to the bed. LOL. He's married, so maybe Mrs. Rio Grande Joe put her foot down and said, "No more of this." Let's see. Get Davio to Middletown, Ohio. Hey, Middletown, it's Toby on Gypsy Kiss. What's your name and what's your comment on the search?
This is Michael Wimmer.
Hey, Michael Wimmer. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good to hear.
I'm locked in my house forever.
Yeah, I know the feeling, but it's better for everybody else. You don't want to make anybody else sick if you're sick.
Isn't that true?
Yeah. So what's your theory on this crazy search?
I've been going through the book, just the original book, the Thrill of the Chase, and then everybody's videos.
Yeah.
7-8 weeks of harder work trying to turn my hypothesis into a theory, I guess. You might say. But yeah, I've had some movement and some things I've discovered that I never saw before. But I wanted to say tonight, I like critical feedback. I've known for many years that it's actually pretty great. We arrive at scientific truth via that. I even, like in a classroom setting, I like the Socratic method quite a bit.
Yeah, it's especially cool if that's your teacher's method, your instructor's method. Yeah.
Oh yes. And but all the years I worked on Wall Street, we had a lot of science to go through. You don't fund a deal unless the science is sound, if it's healthcare, medical devices, or that type of thing. But you'd be amazed at some of the really lousy things that come through. You're just scratching your head going, how did they even get this published? Much less try to make a company out of it, or any sort of effort that's financeable. But I think our room is great. I think it's one of the greatest assets. I mean, certainly your own criticism and feedback is brilliant sometimes, and leading people. It can actually hurt people's feelings if they're not used to it.
Right.
But it's really not designed to do that. If one matures, then they can handle it, and it actually brings your own method. It focuses it greatly. But I think we should harness that in a lot of ways, and even appreciate some of the sarcasm. Because I think everyone's pretty well versed in the effort of the solution of the poem.
Well, it was interesting because I did get a text message from Dominate, because he made a call the other night and then went back and looked at the chat in the room, and he wrote and he apologized, and he said that he didn't mean to be rude, that he was just trying to play devil's advocate, et cetera, and I know Dom personally. I met him at the World Series of Fenn, and he's actually that kind of personality. He's a guy who you think is on edge, but it's his way of being social and funny and things like that, and you have to remember not to be offended by it, right? That's just his personality. I mean, this is the guy that sent me a short video of his what looks like 5 to 7 year old daughter collecting sand in one of the dry riverbeds in an area above Las Vegas that he knew I was going to. And he has a video of her holding the sand in her hand, and he says, well, ask Toby, she'll tell you. And she says, Toby, why is this sand so fluffy? Now, to me, the guy that makes that little video with his daughter and sends it to me is not a guy that I'm prepared automatically to be offended by. So I wrote him back and I said, you know what? I was not offended by anything you did or said that night, but I know you better than a lot of the people in the chat room, and I wanted him to feel that way. I wasn't offended. Now
was I there? Was I there that night?
I don't recall. You would have remembered. It was a long call. He went on for a while. He went on about 36 minutes, and he was and he does a real good. He was attempting the Socratic method on my theories, right? Because it turns out that his theory is nowhere near mine, and I think there's part of some people. I don't know this to be universally true, but I think some people call to find out to validate their theory by having me question mine. I think the ideal situation for some callers, I'm not saying everybody is like that, but I think the ideal situation for some callers is for me to say, oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. And I'm going to give up my Rio de los Pinos or whatever my latest one is theory. The problem with that is that once a person gets stuck on whatever their theory is, the only way they're going to be moved off that theory is by going boots on the ground. There's nothing I can say or do to them. There is nothing they can say or do to me to get me off my theory until I do boots on the ground and I spoil it for myself.
Yeah. So you don't see any other road to falsificationism?
I think you can attempt at a Socratic approach to enlightenment, But my experience has been, I have yet to see that work. Occasionally, I'll have the benefit. The only time I've ever seen anything help is when they come up not with a theory, but a fact that is absolutely incorrect. You know, so they'll say, well, when Forrest said this, this, and this, I interpreted that, and I can say, Forrest didn't say that. Here's what he said. And so occasionally I'll have those kind of situations where whatever theory they're working on is based upon facts that are not, right? They've picked up something, and you can go back and point to the word in the book or the words in the interview that said, no, he didn't say that. That's not what he said. Now, you can believe whatever you want about what he meant, because that's up to you. But I have had those situations where I feel like I remember there was someone that called one night, and it's been recently, and they called and told me what they were thinking, and I said, well, no, that's not actually what he said. Let me get it from the book, and I recited it, and you could tell just by the tone of their voice that it was a disappointment to them, right? But I wasn't criticizing their theory. I was correcting what they thought were facts. So that has happened more than once. But I can only, as you suggested, in a Socratic way, help them refine their theory. I don't ever remember talking anyone out of their theory.
Okay. Well, in a group setting, it's easier to not feel it being personal. But
yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to burn up all the 10 minutes. I'm moving forward. I don't have anything big to reveal except for I'm still pretty sure that the chest is not in Toledo.
Yeah,
Ohio.
I think we can all agree with that. I will agree with that theory.
Now, it is true, though, if you go that 250 miles southwest, if you convert it to kilometers first and then into nautical miles, it's a lot less, and that brings you into Indiana.
Yeah. I was wondering how far you were gonna take this one.
I mean, when you get into Indiana, there's some successful treasure hunters there that we may or may not have heard of. There's this thing floating around about a little girl in India.
Yeah,
and
he meant Indiana.
No, he means India.
No, I have never heard that. He made a mistake. He meant Indiana.
It's sassy. I secretly think that she's a little girl in India. And then there's this place at that 250 converted nautical spot called Two Clues Rock.
Oh,
right there.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
No, I can believe it. I don't know. And if I saw it, I'd start, putting one and one together, I suppose. But I can't believe
it. Don't tell anyone, but it's part of the Midwest Rockies. It's called there.
the Midwest Rockies.
A little place called Santa Fe Lake.
Yeah.
I was just shocked, but no, I'm totally teasing. But
no,
anyway.
But you know what? It's not going to surprise any. Well, no, I suppose it will surprise us when we find out that what he imagined were just as. Like, we'll go back and say to ourselves, well, no wonder I didn't get it.
Yeah.
People, I've heard people say, well, when we find it, we're all going to be surprised. We're going to say, oh, that's what he was thinking. I'm not of that opinion. My thought is going to be, well, geez, no wonder I didn't get it. I wasn't even close. I was up in. I was up in Candy. I was up in Candyland with T.S. Eliot. No wonder I didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed part of that tonight. I had to cut off.
She gets in. I can't. I may not agree with her conclusions, but you got to admire the amount of research that she does.
Oh, I've been reading Little Gidding myself and some other things. So there's a little side angle into some other important literature.
Yeah,
I found some fascinating things, and so at least my rabbit holes are not pointless anymore.
Yeah,
but what a beautiful mind that guy had. Elliot is really outstanding.
There was a couple of Brits that you can appreciate. One is Eliot, and the other was Alan Turing. I read Alan Turing's work, and I'm just amazed at his level of insight, into not only mathematics but physics and the world and evil. I mean, it just there's a couple of Brits that are worth reading. I got to admit, I am having. It is rare. I haven't read a book probably since I got my first Audible, I guess, which is probably about 10 years ago. So it's really kind of refreshing to actually sit down, read a book, and have it, as well known as A Catcher in the Rye, and not having read it since I was in college. So I'm really enjoying it. I've kind of lost my original objective was to see if there was any coincidences between Catcher in the Rye and The Thrill of the Chase, or one style of writing versus the other. But now I'm just reading it for the pleasure of it. I mean, it's a damn well written book.
Well, and those honest messages underneath. I did notice a blade in Little Gidding.
Oh, you did? Well, Candy said there was more than one brown, and I did a quick search. I could only find one brown. Is the word blaze used in Little Gidding?
B-L-A-Z-E. Yep, B-L-A-Z-E. And
hang on just a minute.
Left the page.
Let's see. Let's see if we can find it here.
Are you sure? We're probably pushing 10 minutes.
That's all right. We're over 10 minutes by 3 minutes, but it's my... Oops. That's because I don't know how to spell blaze, apparently. Hold on.
It's in about the first little bit of Little Gidding.
Let's see. So you have to be careful with his sentences here because even Fenn made the mistake of not including the whole sentence. And glow more intense than blaze of branch or brazier stirs the dumb spirit. No wind, but Pentecostal fire in the dark time of the year. That's the entire. I mean, that's what's amazing about this, about the poem, is that every time you think you've come to the end of a sentence, you haven't. I mean, that's the sentence. And glow more intense than blaze of branch or brazier stirs the dumb spirit. No wind, but Pentecostal fire in the dark time of the year. You know when you should read this? You should read this. Let me find that. Let me find that. I want to find that the quote that Fenn. Do you remember how it went? I thought she said it was in 4, but it's not. Do you remember Fenn's quote? How did it go? Arrive. Let me just
about the blaze itself, or
no. The okay. So the quote that Fenn gives us is, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." And the impression you get is that that is not the entire. That's that is part of one sentence.
Yes.
The entire.
That's at the very end. That's at the end of the poem.
The entire sentence, because Fenn left off the first line, is, "With the drawing of this love and the voice of this calling, we shall not cease from exploring, or from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time."
Yes.
He's not talking about adventure. He's talking about romance.
I think too, and it looks like Fenn took a lot of context. But he does go on to say the source of the longest river. So I spent the whole afternoon looking at that. Which longest river, the Mississippi, the Missouri, or the San Juan?
Right.
It has different pieces, or, and there's some interesting finds up there, and missing copper plates, yada yada yada.
Right.
So I couldn't decide which one before I gave up. But I think I'm going to know an awful lot more about the Rocky Mountains. 32. I'm less than a year and things. But our team could basically.
Oops. I lost the last part of that sentence.
You could be fine with your cracking codes in the, in the war.
Yeah.
You'd be getting pretty good at this.
Well, what I can tell you thus far is that all my experience, military service, and 5 years military service, 5 years of the NSA, has yet to offer one iota of help in the solution of this poem. Yeah. How frustrating is that? Seems like a waste of time, doesn't it? No, I'm sorry. It wasn't a waste of time. I had a great time.
Yeah.
I had a
All
great
right.
time. All right,
Amen,
sir.
brother.
Thanks for calling in.
I'll talk to you Wednesday or something.
I look forward to it.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Let's play. I saw just a cool kind of rock song that I saw the name, and Country Gentleman by Endless Love. So I don't know why I'm in such a romantic mood tonight. Country Gentleman is the name of the song. The group is Endless Love. Let's see what this sounds like. Endless Love. All right, so I got a text message from Rio Grande Joe, and I know it's Rio Grande Joe because I have him listed in my contacts list as Rio Grande Joe. It's not just a number. He says, "Good evening, Toby. Phone out of range. Not much service. South of Carlsbad, Dark Canyon." South of Carlsbad. That ain't north of Santa Fe, so I don't know what he's doing down there. New leads on Ben Sublet treasure. Oh, he's looking for another treasure. North New Mexico tomorrow to see if we can locate that one up there. Have a good night. I'll contact you later. Aha. So it sounds like he didn't. Not only did he not find the Forrest Fenn treasure, he's down in southern New Mexico looking for the Ben Sublet treasure, and will let us know later. So at least he got back to us. Okay, I got to read one. Ken from Oklahoma. He says, interesting Toledo info. Bear attack in Yellowstone. He thinks it was around 2011. Rangers had to kill mother bear. Cubs sent to Toledo Zoo. Maybe Yellowstone confirmation? I don't know. I might, although I'm a firm believer in confirmation bias, I don't know. That sounds a little bit like it's pushing it, Ken. But hey, we can all have our opinions that are like belly buttons. Got a voicemail from Arnold, Missouri. Let's see what Arnold said.
Yeah, it's Journeyman, Doug. Give me a call.
All right, we're going to
call back. You should have the number there.
All right, I got it right here. Reminder, if you do leave a voicemail to call you back, do not leave your phone number, the voicemail. I have your phone number right here in front of me. So let's give Journeyman a call. No ringy-dingy.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again. Announcement for Welcome to Verizon.
Oh, that's interesting. I just dialed back the number. Let's see. Let's see what happened there. Wait a minute. There it is. All it takes is more than one try. Corey J., are you leaving us? You're welcome. Hope you enjoyed the night. Hope you had half as much fun as I did.
Hello.
Hey, Journeyman, it's Toby.
Hey, Toby, how you doing?
Very good, thank you. And you?
Good. I just had to get a lightsaber out of my mouth.
Oh, okay, yeah. That'll, yeah. That's always good. It makes it harder to talk.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So what do you got for us?
Well, I was teasing everybody last week about I had a new clue that hadn't been heard in a full 10 years. And it had to do with gypsies and all that stuff. So I figured I'd let you know here. But with the and let me know if this has been covered before.
All right, you go ahead because it could very well have been, but it's your take on it. So let's hear your take on it.
Yeah, well, the gypsies basically had about 6 different kind of wagons.
Okay.
Most popular being the reading wagon.
What kind of wait? What kind of wagon?
Reading. Like reading, writing, arithmetic, reading.
Oh, okay. A reading wagon. Okay.
Yeah. And that was probably most popular because that's where the gypsies would, tell the fortunes and everything like that.
Oh, you mean like a crystal ball reading or a tea leaf reading?
Right.
Something. Oh, okay.
Right.
Card reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then there was a bush wagon, and there was bow tie wagons, everything like that.
Yeah.
But the brush wagon. The brush wagon was also known as the Fenn wagon.
Fenn, as in Fenn?
Just one N, though.
The Fenn wagon. Why was it called the Fenn? Well, why was it called the brush wagon, and then why was it called the Fenn wagon?
Well, it had the bigger wheels to get back into the back country.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
And it was basically the same as the reading wagon. And but I don't think anybody's ever picked up on that before, where the other name for the brush wagon was the Fenn wagon.
Well, in all honesty, I can tell you that I had never heard of either. I could assume easily that there'd be a reading wagon where they practice their craft,
Right.
Having been in that kind of situation myself. But I didn't know about the brush wagon. Well, I had
brush wagon.
Yeah, I had no reason to know
also,
about the brush wagon. I'm more interested in why it was called the Fenn wagon. Why was it called the Fenn?
I do not. I've tried to research it. I cannot find out.
Oh,
but
interesting.
I know the brush wagon was also referred to as the Fenn, but with one N wagon. But the other thing is, that's real curious, is the brush wagon and the reading wagon were the same, with the exception of the reading wagon had a skylight.
Oh, well, so the gypsy wagons that I've seen are not like American Conestoga wagons. They're
right,
they're like mini houses, right?
Yeah.
They're made of wooden frames, et cetera, et cetera. So the reading wagon, which is where they did either the card reading or the palm reading or the tea leaf reading or whatever, that had a skylight in it.
Correct.
So that they had the light to do the reading by.
Right. And the brush wagon did not have a skylight, which Fenn complains about a skylight in the bathroom.
So do you think it didn't have a skylight because there was nothing? I mean, I guess you could use candles. It makes sense to me that the reading wagon would have the skylight.
Right.
Do you have pictures of all these by any chance?
They're on Wikipedia.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
under gypsy wagons. There's there's the bow tie, but the brush wagon, that was to get further back away from the authorities back in the early 1900s. And also, which would make sense, it was the same thing with the reading wagon. That was their moneymaker.
Right.
But the brush wagon, that was more like their home, and so they didn't need the skylight.
Let me see if we got some pictures here. All right. So let me go to screenshot. So first of all, for any of you that have done any kind of research into the gypsies, whoa. There we go. I had to put a background up there because I was standing in virtual space. So for any of you that have ever done any research into the gypsies in the old country, they were referred to as Romani, and sometimes they were called
the Gypsy Romani.
Right.
Correct.
They were called Rai Romani,
Right, they were from India, but there was a real strong Spanish influence because the Spanish king had requested 10,000 musicians, and then the Gypsies showed up. And that's why they speak Spanish mainly, back in about 1600, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah. So there's the stage one. I've seen one of those. This is this one that I'm looking at right now.
Go down to Brush Wagon.
Okay, hold on.
And it says otherwise known as a Fenn.
Oh, it doesn't have. Let's see. Brush wagon. The brush wagon, or Fenn wagon, as it was also known, consists of a standard Romani Vardo with straight sides and the wheels located outside the body. The brush was similar in construction to the reading Vardo, but unlike other styles, the brush wagon had two distinct features: a half door with glazed shutters located in the back of the Vardo, and a set of steps. I want to go read the reading wagon. So here's what it says about the reading wagon. The reading or kite wagon, oh, interesting, kite, because that's not a, is so named due to its straight sides that slope outwards towards the eaves, high arched wheels, and relative lightweight. There is no other Vardo that epitomizes the golden age of Romani horse travel. It dates from about 1870 and is synonymous with the original builder Dunton and Sons of Reading. Wow. So they bought these wagons. You'd have thought they'd have made them themselves. From where the Vardo takes its name, the wagon was highly prized by the Romanis for its aesthetic design, beauty, and practicality to cross fords, pull off roads, and over rough ground, something smaller wheeled wagons like the Burton were unable to do. The reading wagon is 10 feet long, etc., etc. So here's a picture of a reading wagon.
Right.
Wow, they're beautiful, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Very stylish.
Very ornate.
Yeah.
But when I saw the Fenn wagon, so then I studied a little bit more, and then when it says that about the skylight, that just hit all sorts of bells, obviously.
Yeah.
And they came up basically when they came up from Mexico back. In Fenn's youth and in the late 1800s, they came up through El Paso and Rio Grande ripped up, around to the Colorado border.
Yeah.
I've been trying to trace. I've had this information for a while, and I just thought since everybody's sitting around, everybody's stuck.
Follow it up,
home,
see what they can do. Yeah. Yeah, we got plenty of time to do research, don't we?
Yeah. And but I gave everybody. I told everybody last week I was trying to suck you out of a St. Corona picture. I don't know if you read the thing. But,
I did. I saw it. You know what you do? You know how to get one, right?
Yeah, I got to do it every week.
No, you don't have to do it every week. Here, I'm going to post something. Here's what you can do. Help, help my daughter, help you.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to plan on. I was going to plan on doing that. I was going to buy one from your daughter.
Yeah, so here, if you do
I also want to get a frame from Jason.
Hang on. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to post the link, not only to my daughter's, to the location, but if you use this code, you get a 20% discount. The SLI stands for Sales Leaders Institute. So let me see where that goes.
I also want a frame from Jason.
Well, here's what I can do. So the way to do that is it's like doing something with Fenn. If you want the retablo, you buy that from Sean, and then you ask her to have Jason frame it. Now, I will advise you that's a separate fee. It's two different fees.
Oh, I know, obviously.
So let me see what she has in here. So I'm over on her website. Hang on just a second. I'm going to go over the website. So she has, for the St. Corona, she has a 16 by 20 canvas, an 11 by 14 collaged wood, a signature print, a pendant, a pillar candle, a greeting card, which is what I no. I got the postcards from her. So the postcards are $5. You can get one from her. And I bought the frame from Amazon for $5. So And you get a 20% discount on the postcard.
Okay.
So $4 plus $5 for the frame.
Okay. You got the link there. I will follow it, get it.
And then just use that coupon code. It'll get you a 20% discount.
Okay.
Okay.
Then you get the link to Jason too?
No.
I got his, is he still active on his channel? I mean, I've got the bell ring and everything.
He's not, but I think he has. So, like I said, the best way to do this is go to her Etsy store. Okay? And there's a way on the Etsy store where you can contact her, right? You can reach out to message Sean. See it right here. Oh, you're not. Hang on. So go down to the bottom of her Etsy store, and it says message Sean. And tell her that you want a retablo of Saint Corona that's been framed by Jason.
All right.
Okay? And that way she can give you a price, and they charged me, I told them to charge me full price, but I'm not going to tell you what that is. You have to make up your own mind, right? But because I didn't want to cheat them out just because I was daddy, I didn't think it was fair to, but just message her, say that you saw my version of the Saint Corona, that you'd like a similar retablo. Now, I'll advise you, no two retablos are exactly the same. She has a style, but there'll be tiny little differences in each one because they're all different.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
I'm aware of that.
And then tell her that you would like Jason to do the frame that he did on mine, that you've seen my Saint Corona, and that you would like the exact replica. And then you guys work out the price.
That sounds great.
Okay?
Okay. I haven't been able to see the chat since I've been talking to you, but has anybody else ever put together that brush wagon with the pen?
No, that's the first time I've heard it. What you said tonight.
When I found it, I went this is 10 years into the search.
Yeah.
And gypsies have been, featured fairly prominently in the search.
Yeah.
And, okay.
All right, sir. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Have a good one, Toby.
And good luck. I'm not going to just message Sean. She'll respond to you real quickly.
All righty.
Okay?
Okay.
You have a good evening.
You too.
Bye. Okie dokies. Let's close that phone. I think it's time to say good.
I left my boots and my faded jeans in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and swapped them for a coat and tie and someplace else to go. I had days that were laced with white lines on narrow blacktop roads with honky tonks around.
All right, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, saints and sinners, thank you for joining me tonight on Saturday Night Church of the Search. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Had a bunch of new callers tonight. That was great. Marilyn was in good spirits. We didn't get to hear from Rio Grande Joe, but he did text us, so maybe we'll hear something from him on Friday, and we can play that little rooster on his behalf. So I'm sure he seems to be the kind of guy that could take the associated ribbing with not having found the treasure. So some people can't take it. Some people can. So again, thanks for joining me tonight. I had a great time. And we'll see you next week. Join us at 7 o'clock Monday night for COVID Conversations with Dr. Coffee Brown. If you have any questions about the coronavirus. And then on Wednesday night, of course, we'll do Sales Leaders Institute at 6 o'clock. We'll have another cool interview for you. And a Gypsy's Kiss at 7 o'clock. All of those. These are all Mountain Daylight Time. And then again on Friday for a Gypsy's Kiss or Sales Leaders Institute at 6 o'clock. And a Gypsy's Kiss at 7. And please note, the softer side, Shelley is journaling every day at 11 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. She's got her, she's doing her journal and she tells you what she's written that day, and then she opens up the chat room for conversation about the topic. And she's got some, they're all oriented towards life coaching, but I watch them just because every time I watch them, I learn from them. And I also kind of know when she's kind of talking at me, you know, letting me know that I need to handle this issue on my side. So I got to tell you, I've probably said this more often than I should have, but Shelley is the best business partner I have ever had in 50 years of doing business, of being in various forms of business. She's absolutely the best. She holds up her end of everything if doesn't exceeds it. She's always got great ideas. She knows how to present those ideas, and she stimulates this old dog with a whole bunch of new tricks that I'm always interested in doing. And so couldn't have a better partner than Shelley. So, and I miss not having her in my studio here, you know. But we'll get back to it. We shall. This too shall pass. We'll get back to normal here soon. All right. For those of you on Sunday, I'm doing a 3:00 phone call, family Zoom. But before that, I do my long bike ride for the week. So, if you guys are out on the Bosca Trail, Pax Vobiscum, we'll see you there.
That she plays memories, the kind that leave no memories to. The dog Rhapsody, the midnight rendezvous. Yeah, she plays memories of songs that made me blue, sweet soft melodies that took me back.